I visited a ton of land in rural Portugal, and in this video I'm gonna show you what I found. So stick around. In a previous episode, I showed you how I feed myself, using discarded leftovers, trading with the community, and visiting local markets for local products. I've entered a deep search in this new land with its own rules, cultures, and climate. Beneath the surface, there's a structure that I can lean on, a framework that supports my progression. So far, so good. But this is just a station on the journey to my own land. So, step 3. Complete. Alright, let's be real. If you're looking for land in a place such as inland Portugal, it is very likely that you will be overcome by all the possibilities. Some of them good worth for good money, and others of them peculiar and strange, such as these. For instance, this is a property next to a bulk waste dump facility, which could be useful if you're looking for second-hand materials, but it also could be very noisy. Or what about this one? It's located next to a water treatment facility. I'm sure we can improve much of them if we use our affiliate sponsor of Blue Earth Innovations. But that's not our purpose here in Portugal. Or what do you think of this old chicken factory? It might have a lot of potential, but then do you really want to live there, and is it even possible to convert it to a house? And I even found a wine field for sale next to this ancient dolmen. But that ad has disappeared since, though it was an interesting possibility. Even though it's fun to speculate about what you could buy, it mostly made me realize something deeper. First and foremost, I want a place that's quiet and calm. Somewhere I'm not confronted with someone else's daily routines or random tourists passing by. It's often very difficult to locate the property that is advertised. So you just go and look for them online, see if there's any coordinates, see if there's any place, any way that you can find them. So if you're good at GeoGuessr, then this is a game for you. But very often it's very difficult to find them. But even if you contact the real estate agents, they are not able to just send you a pin of the exact location. So it's really just a game of trying to figure out where the property is at. And that got me into a very interesting adventure. So I went looking for this property, and I mostly tried to find it on this particular land feature right here. And I think I did a good job by eventually locating it right here. And it was on the riverside, on the river Saya. And so I thought it kind of should have been somewhere right here. So what I did is I followed this road all the way down, which was not a good idea because it was very sandy and it was very difficult to access all the way down. I ended up at this bridge right here, which was decently intact, but then when trying to drive up here, I ran into big trouble because my car just wouldn't drive up the road because the road was completely eroded. And so I stepped out of the car, I tried to find the property, I never located the property. So I went for a walk with Nala, and we ran around the premises, and then I decided to go back. But instead of driving all the way up the hill again, I decided to follow the river and drove sideways, which did give me some stunning views of this particular tavern that was located here in the old times. But at the same time, my stick gear broke down. So I had to fix it on the spot. And with that, I figured out my second demand for land, which is a decent access road, preferably asphalt, which doesn't erode. Now let me tell you a little bit, because Portugal has one of the best natural water sources in Europe. And that is not an accident. It's because all of the water flows through a lot of nature into the natural substructure of the earth. So if you don't live in a place like that, let's say for instance you live in the neighboring country, let's say Spain, then you have to deal with all of the things that they put into your drinking water, such as chlorine and fluoride. Now those things don't belong in your water, and they certainly don't belong in your body, such as all these other things, such as forever chemicals like PFAS, which is rampant these days, or any other kinds of remnants of drugs or anti-conception or antidepressant or recreational drugs, whatever. So if you're drinking sewage water that is been through a process, then you want to make sure that you get something else to clean your water. And the best thing that I know that there is out there is the Blue Earth Mini by Blue Earth Innovations. So with the code Paradigm Shift, you get a 5% discount on the product. Now it is an expensive equipment, but it goes for a lifetime. So if you have the money to spend and you want to be drinking clean drinking water, such as the water that is here behind me coming out of the mountain, then that is something that you want to harvest, because it really cleans up everything. The tests are in. They're the only ones that I know that can do it, and the technology is fantastic. And if you don't have the money to spend something like that, then at least what you want to get is the Vitalizer, which is the source of this technology. So then at least you can vitalize your body, and at least you can feel better by the day. Get one with the code Paradigm Shift, and if you can't even afford that, then what you want to get is at least to get a bottle of elixir. Now don't drink the entire bottle at once, because you will get a heavy detoxification, but at the same time, drinking a little bit every day, it will definitely help you clean up a little bit each day. So go over to Blue Earth Innovations, use the code Paradigm Shift, check out all their other products that they have, because they're fantastic and I fully believe in them. And with that being said, let's continue back to this episode. On my channel, I've said many times that I believe that every family needs a football field to be self-sustainable. But that comes from a very Dutch mindset where all the terrain is flat. But we're not in the Netherlands. We're in the very capricious hillsides of Portugal. Because a hectare of steep mountainside is something entirely different from a football field you can bend to your will. And the steepness of the terrain? That barely shows up in the pictures from a real estate agent. On this particular site, we already knew the access might be difficult, so we launched a drone to get a better look. Almost immediately, it got attacked by a swarm of bees. Bees that had claimed the old ruin, now reclaimed by the wild. Then we discovered the original access road was broken, brittle, and in some places completely inaccessible, even on foot. But sheer determination pushed me to try another way in. We took my car up a private driveway, and that is when we hit a fence. With no space to turn around and my car lacking the power to reverse up the hill, I had no choice. I had to call for backup. So with that experience in mind, I have another demand, and that is that I want relatively flat terrain. After that adventure, I looked to this other property, which looked very promising. It had a good access road, it was on a decent slope, it was totally off-grid, it had already a house inside of it, it had great potential, and the peace and quiet that I was looking for. There was plenty of space to work with, and before I arrived, I thought that this could be the one. But then, as I stood there on that very hot day, I realized it had no water. And so I made it a priority on my list to either have a river, a lake, or a stream. With the image of a refreshing river in mind, I put on my swimming trunks and I set out to find this piece of land on yet another exceptionally hot day. But when I arrived, I discovered that the area had been burned recently and had been completely clear. Dense thickets where the machines had stopped blocked any path to the river. I never made it there. Climbing back up the hill, exhausted, my heart dropped when Nala didn't respond to my calling anymore. I had to track down again, this time thinking she'd got herself stuck in what used to be a water mine, now just a muddy swamp. But as I got closer, it turned out she was just fine, just enjoying a full body mud bath. And honestly, I couldn't blame her. On these land expeditions, you just don't know what you're gonna find. And yeah. Oh man, it's so hot, I forgot what I was saying. And while I quickly put a muddy dog in the car and finding a place to cool off, I realized one thing. The place that I'm looking for has got to have trees. So, I've been talking to this real estate agent, and she's been giving me a piece of land to look at, and it's close to a river. It checks a lot of the points that I'm going for. So we're gonna check it out. So see you guys soon. This land had everything. It had plenty of space, lots of trees, a stone ruin to be rebuilt, a wooden cabin with just about the only original inhabitant missing. Even a forgotten caravan left behind for someone before me. It was a river with a private river beach, and even though the access road was a kilometer of dirt road, its accessibility was relatively decent. I saw otters playing in the water and an eagle soaring above. The nature here was wild. It was breathtaking. So why not take this property? What could possibly be missing? Well, at one point in my life, this would have been a dream, living in a secluded cabin in the woods. But now, I felt the weight of something else. I could feel the loneliness of not having a neighbor who could help me with a job for 2 men. I noticed my cell phone not having any signal here. And I was thinking about the long one-way access road through the forest in case of a forest fire. I had to ask myself, is this what I want? Is this what I really want? No, it's not. Because in the end, I also want to be part of a community. And so looking at this list, I came to understand I wasn't searching for land. I was discovering who I am. And now that I have my list, I have the framework, the outline for the picture that I want to live in. But in order to find my land, there is one more thing that I need. I need a tool to find the land. Or maybe, for the land to find me. A beacon for me to light. A signal for me to pulse. What I need is a drum.